Coming to the next topic is a mention of the National Human Rights Commission, which has issued notice to the Meghalaya government over the killings of many of the mine workers because of the collapse of a rat hole mine over there, right? So the NHRC on Wednesday said that it has issued notice to the Meghalaya government and the state police chief over the reports that 18 workers died after a blast in an illegal coal mine, rat hole mine, we covered in the analyst earlier this month. Now let's talk about the NHRC, and I've deliberately taken the snippets from the website to tell you the importance of the data or these websites, right? So the NHRC established under the Protection of Human Rights Act of 1993, and this is what the very objective is. About the organization, the NHRC of India, National Human Rights Commission of India, was established on 12th October 1993. The statute, the law, so it's a statutory body, under which it established is the Protection of Human Rights Act of 1993, amended by the Protection of Human Rights Amendment Act of 2019. Section 2, subclause 1, subclause D of the Act defines human rights as the rights relating to the life, liberty, equality. So remember, the Act itself defines what human right is all about. By the Constitution embodied in the international covenants and enforceable by courts in India. It is in conformity with the Paris Principles. Remember, can be asked in the prelims. Paris Principles deals with the human rights. Adopted at the first international workshop on the national institutions for the promotion and protection of human rights held in Paris in October 1991 and endorsed by the General Assembly of the United Nations by regulation this. The NHRC is an embodiment of India's concern for the promotion and protection of human rights. Composition, very important. As per Section 3 of the Protection of Human Rights Act, the composition of the commission is as follows. A chairperson who has been a Chief Justice of India or a judge of a Supreme Court. One member who is or has been a judge of the Supreme Court. One member who is or has been the Chief Justice of a High Court. 3 members, out of which at least one shall be woman, to be appointed from amongst the person having knowledge of or practical experience in the matters relating to the human rights. The chairperson of the National Commission for Backward Classes, National Commission for Minorities, National Commission for the Protection of Child Rights, National Commission for the Scheduled Castes, the National Commission for the Scheduled Tribes, the National Commission for Women, and the Chief Commissioner for the Persons with Disabilities shall be deemed to be members of the Commission, ex officio members, right? There shall be a Secretary General who shall be the Chief Executive Officer of the Commission. This is what you'll have to understand. Next, we have the mission and the mission of NHRC. The NHRC India has been set up by an Act of Parliament under the Protection of Human Rights Act of 1993 for the protection and promotion of the human rights. The Commission's functions are stated in Section 12 of the Act. In addition to investigating complaints of human rights violations or negligence by the officials, by the police officers or the administration, in preventing such violations by a public servant, the Commission studies treaties, international instruments on human rights, and makes recommendations to the government. The Commission is responsible for spreading the human rights awareness amongst the masses and encouraging the efforts of all the stakeholders in the human rights literacy, not just at national but also international levels. The NHRC is a unique institution because it is one of the few national human rights institutes, NHRIs, in the world whose chairperson is a former Chief Justice of the country or a judge of the Supreme Court. The world looks NHRC India as a role model in promoting and monitoring the effective implementation of promotion and protection. Now, this has been taken from the website, so definitely you can find these lines. Section 2, subclause 1, subclause D of the PHR Act defines human rights relating to life, liberty, equality, dignity. The NHRC India plays an active role in coordinating with the NHRIs of the world to enhance awareness from the perspective of human rights. Now, what are the functions? The NHRC's mandate is to protect and promote the human right, ensuring the compliance with the constitutional provisions and laws. It investigates human rights violations, negligence by the public servants, intervenes in court proceedings involving such violations, and monitors the conditions in prisons. So it can suo moto, take an action also, right? Though the recommendations of the NHRC are not binding on the government, but they are very important for the government, right? The government generally does not basically disregard the recommendations of the Commission. Inquiry and investigation, it investigates human rights violations, negligence in preventing such violations. It can intervene in court proceedings involving human rights violations with approval of the court. It undertakes visit to the jails and other institutions, promotion and awareness, promotes human rights awareness, encourages the NGOs and institutions working in the human rights domain, studies the international human treaties and rights treaties and recommends their effective implementation, research and recommendations, undertakes and promotes research, reviews the safeguards for human rights under the Constitution and recommends the measures for their effective implementation, can recommend the compensation or prosecution against the guilty public servants. and may approach the Supreme Court or the High Courts. NHRC can requisition public records, so it has powers of a civil court. Remember, it submits annual reports to the central and the state government. It monitors the functioning of the mental hospitals and protection homes under the Supreme Court remit. Overall supervision. So you'll have to go through this. Very important body, has been in the news, can be asked in the prelims. Let's go to the next topic.